Look right, look left, look right again. If all's clear, walk quickly across.
I went to Europe to do my spaghetti western, and before I left, I'd done a series of commercials for Nestle's Quick, in which I played a spoof on James.
Remember, be smart, be safe.
Batman and Robin, what'll it be today?
We're looking for someone who might be working here. Thelma Timepiece.
What I would love to do is come in and play Uncle Batman.
Uncle Batman, right, yeah.
In other words, things get so tense and awful, so...
Batman costume one more time after the famous TV show ended, but what he filmed disappeared for over 50 years. Not a single American Batman fan had ever seen it. Even the biggest collectors in the world had no idea this footage existed. It was locked away in British archives, completely forgotten by everyone. Then in 2018, someone finally found it, and what Adam West said in that missing scene left viewers absolutely shocked. But before we dive into this incredible discovery, let me tell you the wild story of how Batman almost never made it to television at all. Because what happened behind the scenes was just as crazy as anything the Caped Crusader ever faced. Back in 1964, a company called Ed Graham Productions got the rights to make a Batman TV show. But their vision was completely different from what we know and love. They wanted to create a simple Saturday morning kids show, just like the old Superman series that aired in the 1950s. They even picked an NFL football player named Mike Henry to be the first live-action Batman on television. Can you imagine how different everything would have been? CBS was actually close to signing the deal in 1965. They had weeks of meetings and negotiations. But then something went wrong. The talks fell apart, and CBS never picked up the show. Mike Henry left to go play Tarzan instead, and the whole Batman project collapsed right before they were supposed to start filming. If CBS had said yes, Batman might have ended up as just another boring kids' show that nobody remembers today. But sometimes the best things happen when plans fall apart. That same year, something incredible happened at Hugh Hefner's famous Playboy Mansion in Chicago. Hefner decided to screen all 15 episodes of the original 1943 Batman movie serial from way back in the day. He invited celebrities and important people to come watch these old, forgotten Batmans and films. What happened next changed everything. The guests went absolutely wild. They dressed up in costumes, shouted at the screen, booed the villains, and cheered during the fight scenes. It was like they were watching a comedy instead of a serious adventure story. The New York Times and other big newspapers wrote about these crazy screening parties, and suddenly Hollywood executives started to see Batman in a completely new way. The old Batman serial that everyone had forgotten about was suddenly trendy again. Hefner's party showed that people were ready to embrace Batman's over-the-top style as pure entertainment. Without that wild party at the Playboy Mansion, Batman might have stayed locked away in dusty film storage forever. Columbia Pictures was smart enough to see what was happening. In 1965, they took the old 1943 serial and cut it into one long movie called An Evening with Batman and Robin. It was 4.5 hours long. The movie premiered at the Playboy Theatre in Chicago and quickly spread to art house cinemas and college campuses all across America. The crowds were unbelievable. Theatres were selling out midnight showings, and concession stands were making record sales. Some theatres had to split the movie over 2 days because it was so long. They showed 7 chapters on Saturday and 8 on Sunday. Reports described lines stretching around entire city blocks, with fans showing up in homemade Batman costumes. The success was so huge that it caught the attention of ABC television network. The numbers told a clear story that Batman could draw massive audiences. Those ticket sales and newspaper headlines convinced network executives that a live-action Batman TV show could be a major hit. Around this time, a young ABC executive named Yale Udolph stepped into the spotlight. Udolph had been a Batman fan since he was a little kid, and after seeing how audiences reacted in Chicago, he believed more than ever that Batman belonged on television. He started pushing the idea in every single meeting at ABC, sometimes even shouting at his bosses, "We ought to do Batman!" At first, the other executives just laughed at him, but Udolph refused to give up. He wrote a complete proposal for a stylish Batman series that would mix elements from James Bond spy movies with popular TV shows like The Man from U.N.C.L.E. His determination became legendary around the ABC offices. Some executives even admitted they started secretly reading Batman comics, hiding them inside business magazines when they flew on airplanes so nobody would see them reading comic books. In the end, Udolph's never-give-up attitude played a huge role in convincing ABC to take the gamble on Batman. When William Dozier was hired as the producer in 1966, he admitted something that might shock you. He had never read a single comic book in his entire life. When he finally picked up some Batman comics to do research for the show, he found them so strange and silly that he decided they couldn't be taken seriously at all. The comics had things like shark-repellent bat spray and storylines where Batman went surfing against the Joker. Dozier decided that the only way to make a Batman TV show work was to turn it into a comedy. Instead of copying the comics exactly, he chose to make the show a campy parody that would make fun of superheroes while still being entertaining. It was a bold choice during a time when American culture was already filled with satire and pop art. The result was unlike anything anyone had ever seen on television before. Bright, colourful costumes, exaggerated villains, and words like POW and BAM flashing across the screen became the show's signature style. Not everyone was happy with Dozier's vision. A famous spy novelist named Eric Ambler had originally been hired to write a feature-length Batman movie to launch the TV series. But as soon as he learned that Dozier planned to turn Batman into a pop art comedy, he walked away from the project completely. Ambler was known for writing serious thriller novels, and he wanted nothing to do with making Batman into a joke. His sudden exit showed just how unusual Dozier's idea really was. It was rare for a professional writer to abandon such a big Hollywood assignment simply because he disagreed with the creative direction. Casting the show was another major turning point. In 1965, they filmed 2 complete screen tests with different actors. One test featured Adam West and Burt Ward. The other starred Lyle Waggoner as Batman and Peter Dale as Robin. Waggoner was definitely the safer choice. He was already known in Hollywood and had the traditional leading man look that executives usually preferred. Adam West, on the other hand, was almost completely unknown. But when they compared the test footage side by side, it was West and Ward who perfectly captured the quirky, campy energy that Dozier wanted for the show. The studio decided to take the risk and turn down the more established star. Waggoner went on to succeed in other popular shows like The Carol Burnett Show and Wonder Woman. But it was West and Ward who brought Batman and Robin to life in a way that nobody else could have. Adam West's path to getting the Batman role was especially unlikely. He had caught the producer's attention through a Nestle Quick commercial where he played a secret agent. His deadpan delivery in that silly commercial showed he could say outrageous lines with a completely straight face. Dozier immediately recognized that this was exactly the tone the Batman show needed. West signed his contract on September 21, 1965, beating out much bigger Hollywood names simply because he could make Batman seem both serious and funny at the exact same time. That unique combination made his performance absolutely unforgettable. Burt Ward was cast as Robin when he was 20 years old, even though the character was written as a teenager still in high school. Ward's youthful appearance convinced audiences that he was probably closer to 15 or 16. Behind the scenes, he performed his own dangerous stunts, which actually landed him in the hospital 4 times during just his first 5 days of filming. Those injuries showed how much he threw himself completely into the role. When Batman premiered in January 1966, it became an instant cultural phenomenon. At its peak in February, the show was being watched in 14 million homes across America, grabbing an amazing 42% of the entire television viewing audience. Batman was everywhere. It influenced fashion, slang, and popular culture in ways that nobody had predicted. But success in television can be fragile, and Batman's popularity didn't last as long as anyone hoped. By March 1966, the Wednesday night episodes had dropped so much in ratings that they barely stayed in the weekly top 20 shows. ABC executives admitted in internal memos that the novelty was wearing off and that the show's formula was already starting to feel repetitive to viewers. The phrase Batman fatigue began making the rounds in Hollywood. By the summer of 1966, What had been a cultural explosion had turned into a ratings collapse. Just months earlier, Batman had been one of the most popular shows in the entire country, but an Associated Press article on August 11th reported that ratings had taken such a sharp decline that Batman no longer appeared on the list of top-rated television programs. Merchandise was still selling incredibly well in stores, but the television viewers were disappearing fast. Networks had expected some drop during the summer months when fewer people watched TV, but this decline was much steeper than anyone had predicted. The Batman craze that had influenced everything from fashion to everyday conversation was already fading into the past. The Batman movie that was released in 1966 was supposed to revive all the excitement around the character. The studio poured tons of money into promotion and marketing, expecting it to be a major blockbuster hit. Instead, the film earned only $1.7 million at the box office, which was considered disappointing for such a famous character. When the second season began in September 1966, the ratings told a really grim story. Batman was now averaging in 34th place among all shows on television, which was a devastating drop from its top 5 position earlier that same year. Some episodes even slid into the 40s in the rankings. Adding exciting new villains like the Archer and bringing back Catwoman didn't help the ratings at all. But here's where our story gets really interesting, because the most surprising piece of so-called banned Batman content from this entire era wasn't even an American television episode. It came from London, England, in May 1967, when Adam West stepped into his Batman costume one more time to film something completely different. West had Travis led to London to film a road safety message for British children. For more than 50 years, absolutely no one had seen this footage. Not even the most devoted American Batman fans knew it existed. The film was finally brought back to light in 2018 when an archive group called Kaleidoscope discovered it during a special campaign to recover the United Kingdom's top 100 missing television clips. Until that discovery, this Batman footage had never been screened outside of Britain, and most people assumed it was lost forever. When the public finally saw it in 2018, it felt like uncovering a hidden treasure from both superhero history and British cultural history. In this amazing rediscovered clip, Batman uses his fame as a superhero to teach British children something called the curb drill, which is Britain's version of road safety rules. Standing on a quiet London street, Adam West, still fully in character as Batman, warns children about the deadly daily dangers they face when crossing busy roads. He demonstrates each step with calm authority, staying completely in character as the Caped Crusader. Stop at the curb, look right, look left, look right again, and only cross when it's completely safe. He blends the American superhero image with British safety education in a way that no other actor has ever done before or since. What makes this discovery even more incredible is that for decades, this film remained completely unknown to Batman fans around the world. Its rediscovery in 2018 was a powerful reminder that even the biggest entertainment franchises can lose important pieces of their history. The first public showing of this lost Batman footage took place on April 14, 2018, at Birmingham City University. The screening marked the beginning of Kaleidoscope's nationwide search for 100 lost television gems, including missing episodes of famous British shows like Doctor Who and The Avengers. The event drew both television professionals and longtime Batman fans, many of whom were completely stunned to learn that their favourite superhero had once starred in a forgotten British road safety film. The rediscovery proved how much important media history still lies hidden in archives and private collections around the world, just waiting to be found by dedicated researchers. But this wasn't the only mysterious piece of Batman history that puzzled fans for years. Another strange case involved the famous singer Leslie Gore, who appeared as Catwoman's sidekick Pussycat in a 2-part episode called Scat, Darn Catwoman, which aired on January 25, 1967. During that episode, Leslie Gore performed 2 songs, California Nights and Maybe Now. While California Nights remained in all the reruns and DVD releases, Maybe Now mysteriously vanished from American television broadcasts for reasons that no one has ever been able to explain. The missing song had been written by Leslie Gore and her brother Michael Gore, and it was even released as the B-side of her single Treat Me Like a Lady, Although some international prints and foreign broadcasts still included the performance, American cable reruns and channels like MeTV cut the song completely. Many viewers who watched Batman reruns for years never even knew that second song had existed, turning it into one of the show's oddest unsolved mysteries. There was also a controversial moment involving Commissioner Gordon that some television stations decided to edit or remove completely. In the original version, Batman takes Commissioner Gordon into the secret Batcave, where Alfred the Butler uses something called bat sleep spray to knock the police commissioner unconscious, so he won't remember seeing Batman and Robin's secret identities. Some television syndications trimmed this scene heavily or removed the gassing part entirely because producers were worried about showing a police commissioner being drugged on television, even in the campy comedic context of the Batman show. Other versions downplayed Gordon's presence in the Batcave altogether. These edits showed how even light-hearted family television had to be very careful about certain content, especially when millions of children were watching. The real-life stories from behind the scenes of Batman were sometimes just as wild as anything that happened on screen. In the late 1960s, Adam West was actually banned from Aspen, Colorado, for 15 years, after what he described as a notorious party that spiraled completely out of control. West later admitted with a laugh, "Liquor? Yes. Women? Yes. Police? Yes." Rumors at the time described him as a Hollywood troublemaker who knew how to have a good time. Some stories claimed the ban came from noise complaints and property damage, though no criminal charges were ever actually filed against him. Exactly 15 years later, West received an official letter from Aspen city officials confirming that he was welcome to return to the ski resort town. The whole episode added to his reputation as being much more than just a television superhero who played it safe. Off-camera, both Adam West and Burt Ward became just as famous for their wild nightlife as they were for fighting Gotham City's villains on television. Ward later admitted in his autobiography that they often encountered very eager fans while they were still wearing their Batman and Robin costumes after filming. He described encounters that shocked readers and embarrassed the show's producers when his book was published. Ward even claimed that he once had to escape from a jealous husband by jumping out of a motel window and landing in the mud outside. These wild tales added to all the rumors that were constantly swirling around the stars of the show. Adam West himself argued that Burt Ward had exaggerated many of these stories to make them sound more exciting than they really were. But the gossip definitely strained their working relationship and worried network executives who feared that the show's family-friendly image could be seriously damaged by these kinds of stories. Even their fellow actors added to the show's growing legend in unexpected ways. Cesar Romero, who played the Joker, famously refused to shave off his distinctive moustache for the role. Instead of making him get rid of it, the makeup team simply covered his moustache with thick white grease paint for all 120 episodes of the series and the 1966 movie. If you look closely at Romero's performance as the Joker, you can still see the faint outline of his moustache under the white makeup. What started as personal vanity on the actor's part became one of the most talked-about quirks in the entire Batman franchise and made Romero's version of the Joker completely unforgettable. Behind the scenes, the cast often lived just as wildly as their colourful on-screen characters. According to both West and Ward's later interviews, their sudden success led to endless parties filled with late nights, lots of alcohol, and constant attention from fans and admirers. These gatherings sometimes lasted until dawn, which left the actors exhausted and tired during the next day's filming. This forced the makeup crews to work extra hard to keep the stars looking fresh and energetic for the cameras. Accounts from people who worked on the show confirm that the off-camera chaos sometimes rivaled the outlandish adventures that viewers saw on television each week. The Batman television series of the 1960s remains remembered not just for its colourful action sequences and campy humour, but also for the countless hidden stories and mysteries that surrounded its production and the real lives of its stars. By the third season in 1968, Batman's television ratings had completely collapsed. ABC cancelled the show suddenly, but just as all hope seemed lost, NBC showed serious interest in possibly saving Batman with a fourth season. Then a shocking and expensive mistake was revealed that changed everything. The producers at ABC had already bulldozed and destroyed all the sets, including the famous Batcave, Wayne Manor, and Commissioner Gordon's police office. The cost to rebuild all of these elaborate sets was estimated at several $100,000, which would equal more than $2 million in today's money. When NBC executives learned about this incredibly expensive mistake, they immediately dropped their interest in saving the show. What could have been a rescue mission for the Batman series ended up being remembered as one of television history's most costly production disasters. For many years, Batman fans believed that NBC had seriously planned to produce a fourth season, but official network records tell a different story. The show's ratings had already hit their lowest point, and the production budget was running at a significant loss. Only 17 episodes had been ordered for the third season, and expensive features like the Batboat were either dropped completely or used very rarely to save money. Once all the sets were destroyed, the expense of rebuilding them was simply too high for 1968 television budgets. Beyond making a brief inquiry about the show's availability, NBC never seriously moved forward with any concrete plans. The idea of a lost fourth season remains more of a fan legend than historical reality. While Batman was still popular enough to consider spin-offs, producers had explored several different ideas for expanding the Batman universe. One concept was a Batgirl television series, and a pilot episode was even filmed, though she ended young, IP being added to the main Batman show instead of getting her own series. Other ambitious ideas included a show focused entirely on Robin's solo adventures, and even one that would have highlighted other DC Comics superheroes, which would have been like an early version of the Justice League. Some of these projects actually made it to the pitch stage, with concept art created and serious discussions held with network executives. But when Batman's ratings collapsed during its third season and all the expensive sets were destroyed, every single spin-off idea was immediately cancelled. Some of these projects were dropped just days before casting was scheduled to begin. Network memos from 1967 and 1968 confirmed that the end of Batman also meant the end of any chance to build a larger superhero television universe. The rediscovery of Adam West's lost Batman road safety film in 2018 serves as an incredible reminder of how much entertainment history is still waiting to be found. This forgotten footage had been sitting in British archives for over 50 years, completely unknown to American fans and collectors who thought they had seen everything Batman-related from that era. The fact that such an important piece of Batman history could remain hidden for so long makes you wonder what other amazing discoveries are still out there, waiting for the right person to stumble across them in dusty archives, private collections, or forgotten storage rooms. Adam West's performance in that British road safety film perfectly captures everything that made his version of Batman so special and memorable. He stayed completely in character as the serious, heroic Batman, while delivering important safety information to children. It's the same deadpan delivery and authoritative presence that made the American television series such a cultural phenomenon. This rediscovered footage also represents a unique moment in entertainment history when American pop culture crossed over into British public service broadcasting. The idea of Batman teaching British children how to safely cross the street is both charming and slightly surreal, showing how the character had become a global icon that could be used to deliver important messages to kids everywhere. The story of Batman's journey from comic book pages to television screens and then to a forgotten British archive shows us how unpredictable the entertainment industry can be. What started as a failed Saturday morning kids show concept eventually became one of the most influential television series of the 1960s, launched careers, created pop culture legends, and even led to lost footage being filmed on the streets of London. The Batman television series proves that sometimes the best creative decisions come from taking huge risks and doing something completely different from what everyone expects. William Dozier's decision to make Batman into a campy comedy instead of a serious adventure show was controversial at the time, but it created something truly unique that people still talk about and enjoy more than 50 years later. Adam West's portrayal of Batman became the definitive version of the character for an entire generation of fans. His ability to deliver the most ridiculous dialogue with complete sincerity and authority made every episode entertaining and memorable. The fact that he was willing to put on the costume one more time in 1967 to help British children learn about road safety shows the kind of person he was both as an actor and as a human being. The rediscovery of this lost Batman footage reminds us that there are probably countless other amazing pieces of entertainment history still waiting to be found. Every old archive, every storage room, every private collection could contain something incredible that fans around the world would love to see again. It also shows us how important it is to preserve and protect our cultural heritage. If not for the dedicated work of groups like Kaleidoscope, this wonderful piece of Batman history might have been lost forever. Their efforts to recover missing television clips and films ensure that future generations will be able to enjoy and learn from the entertainment that helped shape our culture. The Batman series may have ended in 1968, but its influence continues to this day. Every Batman movie, television show, and comic book that came after owes something to what Adam West, Burt Ward, and the entire cast and crew created during those wild 3 seasons in the 1960s. They proved that superheroes could work on television and that audiences were ready for bold, colourful, entertaining interpretations of comic book characters. So the next time you watch any superhero movie or TV show, remember the campy, colourful, completely unique world of the 1960s Batman series. Remember Adam West, standing on a London street in 1967, teaching British children how to safely cross the road while wearing his Batman costume. Remember that sometimes the most amazing discoveries are hiding in places where nobody thinks to look. If you enjoyed learning about this incredible lost piece of Batman history, make sure to hit that like button to show your support. Share this video with your friends who love Batman, classic television, or amazing behind-the-scenes stories. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest discoveries about forgotten entertainment history. There are so many more incredible stories out there waiting to be told, and we can't wait to share them with you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.